Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, Dyslexic Reading. It's so nice to have you back. Or if it's your first time, hi, I'm Izzy. I go through dyslexic friendly recommendations and also just book recommendations in general, what I enjoy, what I don't enjoy. It's all laid bare to see on my Instagram, my book talk and my booktube. So if you enjoy that kind of thing, maybe give this video a watch, a like, maybe even a subscribe if you're feeling a little bit cheeky. I won't judge. For today's video, I thought I'd look at books that are on my instant TBR, books that I have bought or had recently that I've thought, yep, I'm reading you quite soon. Whether that will be I'll get to it in summer or maybe in winter in like December, but I'll be reading it. It's on my priority list. It is on my priority list. That is what I'm trying to say. So a lot of the books that I have here are quite recent buys. I had a really bad week this week. It's only Wednesday when I'm filming this, by the way. And I actually spent a lot of money on books in the past like 7 days. So a lot of those I'll point out on here. My depression buys, you got me. But yeah. I think it's quite nice, especially if you are in a good enough financial position, like luckily I am at the moment, where if I have a really bad day, I can go and buy a book or at least go to a library and get a book and go into that escapism. Sometimes it's just nice to have that comfort and just that little bit of serotonin, like a reward for getting through a bad period on a real level. But you know, let's keep it light and airy, because last video I was like slating everything to do with books that I didn't like, and that was a pretty video, and if you haven't seen that, maybe check it out, you might like it. So I'm gonna dive into the first book that is my list of priority and that I'm going to read next, which is The Lamb by Lucy Rose. This only came out really recently. I think it only really recently came out, and I've been seeing some people on Book Talk talk about it, but I really want to go into this blind. I've been really trying to avoid spoilers or any indication of what it is. I go to a bookshop in York called Criminally Good Books. If you're in York or live there, definitely go. It is my favourite place. The booksellers there recommended this to me and told me to go in blind and don't look at anything. Sorry, the fire alarm just went off. That's a bit alarming. It's not supposed to go off on a Wednesday. Anyway. They recommended this book to me and they told me to go in blind, to not look at anything for the true value of it. I was also told to listen to an artist while reading this to like bring all the vibes together, and I'm really excited about that. So I have predictions about this book. I feel like it's going to have themes of cannibalism in it, especially because it has like a meat trope at the top, and they gave me a finger bookmark. Hang on, let me see if I can find this finger. I got it. Wow! And they gave me this finger bookmark to go with it, and I'm like, why is there a finger if maybe cannibalism? And it says The Lamb, Lucy Rose on the back. I think it's really cute. Like, it goes well with the cover as well. Like, how cute is that? How unique. I love it when books have some kind of like merch, free merch I guess, that comes with them. It just really stands out. It's like when I bought Onyx Storm and it came with a print, which was really nice. But yeah, I'm really excited to dive into these. I don't have a lot to say about it particularly because I'm going in blind, but the reviews on the back, there's one from Susan Baker and it says a modern grim fairy tale, stomach-churningly good. There's a lot of quotes on the back, which is quite promising. I don't think you could see any of that, so I'm sorry. There's also one by Amy Twigg which says a dark, fearsome novel that sticks between your teeth. So maybe cannibalism? I'm getting cannibalism from this. I love a book about cannibalism, especially when it's used as a metaphor for love. We all love that, really. Unless you don't like cannibalism and thrillers and horror. Oops. There's also like, oh, a bookmark from Criminally Good Books. It's really cute. It's laminated and everything. Like, insane. I didn't even know that was in there. But yeah, I'm looking at the blurb and it says a folktale, a horror story, a love story, and enchantment. So maybe there's magic in here as well. Like, ooh. Ooh, I love how I'm making these predictions and they're probably going to be way off. And there's probably some of you who have read The Lamb who are watching this maybe, who are like, what is she on about? I'll think when I finish this and I'll publish this video like way before I finish this book, and I'll be like, I really said that on the internet about a book that I hadn't read yet. Like, how wrong was I? But oh well, it's a little bit entertaining. If you did like this book and you've read it already, leave me a comment. Tell me how you liked it, because I have really high hopes for this. I think this might be a 4 or 5 star read for me. The hardback in general, like, I expected this to be like black on the inside, but it's actually red, and I kind of like it. It sticks with the meat theme. This cost me £16.99 in the UK, which is not bad for a hardback, to be fair. Like, it's quite cheap for a hardback. Normally we pay around £20, so I'm quite happy with that. This was actually a more like pre-order, I guess. They held it back for me because they knew that I wanted it, which was really nice of them. I was really happy about that, and I picked it up on Monday. This wasn't necessarily one of my like trying to make myself feel better buys, but I will count it towards that, since like I got it at the start of the week as well when I wasn't feeling too great, and it did bring me a lot of serotonin getting this, so count it. The second book that is on my immediate TBR is a book I got yesterday, which is A Flicker in the Dark. I've been hearing so much about this book on Book Talk, but American Book Talk. I think American Book Talk and British Book Talk are two very different things. That we have a lot of different titles that are floating around, so I like to flick between the two, but A Flicker in the Dark is something that I've only heard about from American Book Talkers recently, and I'm really excited to read it. I think it's basically about a girl called Chloe, and her father commits these crimes, and then when she moves away, these crimes are happening again, and it's about kind of unpacking that, which I'm really excited about. It really gives me Pretty Girls by Corinne Slaughter vibes, and actually Corinne Slaughter does have a quote on this book: "A smart edge of your seat story." And I really trust Corinne Slaughter. I really loved their novel Pretty Girls. It was a great thriller, so I'd like to say that this is going to be a great book. I predict this maybe like a 4 star, so that would be the best case. A best case scenario is a 5 star, but I do predict it to be a 4 star because I always find some kind of plot hole or some kind of little tick with thrillers that knocks it down a little bit for me. Maybe I'm just judgy and have unrealistic expectations with thrillers and horror books, so you decide. This was definitely one of my make myself feel better buys. I bought it from Criminally Good Books, again, no surprise there, but it did bring me a lot of serotonin to know that I do have this in my collection, and I'll be reading it very soon, and I'll be able to like chime in on the hype. Maybe I'll do like my favorite thrillers video at some point, but yeah, maybe I will do like a thrillers that I loved or my favorite thrillers video soon, and kind of pack all that in if you'd like to see that. So I might include it in there, maybe, hopefully. We'll see. On the train of books I bought to make myself feel better, we have She's Always Hungry by Eliza Clark. I was heavily recommended this book. It's very skinny, it's very thin, but I kind of prefer that because it's a great buffer. I like having a go between short and long books. It just feels a lot more like proactive than just focusing on just short books or just long books or just like 400-page books. So I believe this is a thriller / horror, and it has 3 short stories inside. Again, I'm trying to go into this quite blind because I don't want to have like preconceptions about plots and things like that, and I want to have this I want to have a really raw first impression. So I'm really excited, but I was told that this book is super heavy. Like, I will probably want to read something else while I read this book as well to give it like a break. So if you also pick this up, then maybe do that too. I'm really excited about this. I love the kind of like pink feminine vibes. This hand reminds me of Beetlejuice and like the beauty queen that essentially dies and is in like limbo. This book has been sat on my shelf for the best part of a year now, and I think it's time that I finally read it, and it is The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager. Is one of my favourite thriller authors. I just really love The Only One Left, and that's really controversial because I know a lot of people don't like The Only One Left, but I thought the atmosphere was phenomenal. Like, I have never read a book with so much atmosphere. I could literally envision this house on the cliffs in my mind in like this misty, dark kind of like aura hanging around it, and it was so breathtaking, and it really took you out of your body and put you into your own head to picture this sort of thing, if that makes any sense. Or maybe I just sound a bit weird, but Yeah, so I'm really excited to read this. I bulk ordered a lot of Riley Sager books last year because they were harder to get in New York at that time. Like they weren't really a thing here. Like I had to order them from Amazon, which it has like a weird barcode on the back. But I'm really excited to get into this. I believe this is about a woman who loses her husband and goes to their lake house and then starts watching the couple across the lake in their, what I assume, a glass house. And it really gives the vibe of a movie I watched recently with Sydney Sweeney in, where they watch the couple across the street in their apartment. I assume it will be kind of the same thing, like they'll be watching this couple but something isn't right about this couple, which I'm not opposed to, but it's definitely an overdone trope. So I'm really hoping that Riley Sager can put something new to this and I can really get into this and enjoy this. It's not a thick book, it's quite an approachable read, so I'm not worried about this taking up too much time. I feel like I can like speed through Riley Sager's writing style very easily without having kind of like a hitch or having to overthink the language, which is one thing that I'm a bit worried about with The Lamb. I feel like maybe it might be a little bit above me, or even Eliza Clark. I'm kind of worried about that, but that is a common fear I have when I approach books with dyslexia, that the writing style will be inapproachable to me and I'll have to DNF it, whereas somebody else might really love it. But the person who gave me the recommendations for Eliza Clark and The Lamb is also dyslexic, so I'm really hoping that I'll be okay. If you've seen my last video, you know that I put a Riley Sager book in the Lock Every Door saying that I didn't particularly like it. So I'm really excited to see whether this is a hit or miss for me, so I can kind of conclude whether this author is consistently an author I like or an author that I find a little bit like, or maybe not. So that'll be really interesting to see as well. Going on to the 5th book in my immediate TBR, it is The Last House on Needless Street. I bought this book way back in, I think summer last year actually. I bought it from Waterstones for like £9.99, I'd say. And I don't really know much about this book. It has intrigued me greatly because I heard that there's a bit of this book from the perspective of a cat, and I've never heard that before. I've never heard of that. So I love cats. No joke, I love cats. I have a cat and she is my life and joy. Insert picture here. Insert picture here, me editing. But she's my pride and joy. She's called Chili. Pride and joy. Again, I am a proud cat mother. But anyway, I believe this book is about somebody's sister going missing and she returns to the street that her sister went missing on Francis, and that is, I guess, Needless Street. And maybe the cat kind of saw her sister go missing or what happened to her sister. That would be really cool if the cat told the twist. That would blow my mind. So potentially this could be a 5-star read for me if that happened. If the cat has a great deal to play in this book, I will rate this book 5 stars. That is my prediction. It has a lot of good reviews on it. I think it's a horror book rather than a thriller book, if I am to believe the Times, which is quoted on the back. But Stephen King says that he hasn't read anything this exciting since Gone Girl, and I'm a big Gillian Flynn fan as well, so I'm really holding out. I've seen a lot of it on BookTube. I've seen it heavily recommended by creators such as Beth Bartholomew, who I really like and admire and follow. But it's kind of marketed as a murder mystery rather than a horror, I think. So I'm really excited to see where the line of thriller ends and the horror begins in this book, or whether it's just misdirected in genre maybe. So this next book is, I think this is probably the most hyped book I have in this TBR. I think this is probably the most hyped book on all of BookTube, BookTok, and Bookstagram, in the book community in general. It is, you may not be surprised, Donna Hart's A Secret History. I ordered this for my birthday, which is in November. So I've had this for a while, but I've been so scared to read this. Terrified. It's just a lot, and it's really overhyped, is really pretentious snobbery in academia, and I currently am in academia, and I know that a lot of pretentious snobbery, classism let's go with classist. A lot of classist opinions are in academia. Unfortunately, it's really inaccessible to most people, so I'm very lucky to be able to go into academia. It's very hard as well. So I think pretentious academics being presented in a book about classics, I'm very scared to interact with. Another thing that scares me about this book is how small the text is and how white the pages are. I feel like this will be a problem for me at some point, but also I do have my Kindle, so maybe I can interact with it on there. But I was recommended as well to have it on audiobook, which I think is probably the best solution for me, to do a combo of physical and audio, or even like immersive reading with both. What I like about this book is it's very floppy. We all love a floppy book, or at least I love a floppy book. It just feels nice. It's very satisfying. Like, you can just pull it open to any page. Love it. I do really love the British edition of The Secret History. It's lovely, but I prefer the American edition. It is so beautiful. And the special edition too. I have also bought the Goldfinch, I think it's called, by Donna Tartt. I'll insert a picture of it up here. I've also bought that along with this book, but I don't have it with me physically at the moment. But that is also on my TBR, but that is a lesser priority book for me at the moment. I've been told it's very good and people have learned about it in their English class. So I feel like if people have learned about it in their English class, then it's probably going to be a really good book. I've been told it's a little bit like Saltburn. If you've seen Saltburn, it's a lot. So that is kind of the vibe that I've been craving. But I think that is half the reason that I actually bought it. I've seen a lot of people compare The Secret History to If We Were Villains. I've read If We Were Villains by ML Rio, and I enjoyed If We Were Villains quite a bit. There was a lot in there. There was so much unreliable narration, as well as so many unlikable characters. I didn't like a single character in If We Were Villains. I feel like it will be the same with The Secret History. I know that ML Rio isn't fond of comparisons to The Secret History and If We Were Villains, but they do have the same dark academia, and they both have characters called Richard, who, from what I believe, aren't very nice. So I think it's hard not to draw comparisons to both books. One of the things that I'm really not looking forward to this book is the use of racial slurs. I have heard that there are so many racial slurs in this book. I just don't feel the need that white people should be, even in dialogue in books, be saying racial slurs at all, unless it's a historical book portraying like a horrible time in like the Jim Crow South or something like that, to that effect. I just don't believe that in a book about classics people should be saying the N-word. But I know that in classics there's a lot of ingrained racism and misogyny, so maybe it's a reflection of that. I've only heard this completely out of context. I've not read this book yet, so maybe I'll understand why the word is used so often. I have big hopes for this, but also I'm expecting to be let down by it. So I think I'll rate it about like a 3-star, maybe even like a 2-star. No, that would be awful. I'd feel so upset by that. I want to love this book, I do, but I feel like I'll be disappointed, is what I'm trying to say. A book that is being put to me as a horror book is what I have for my next one, and it is A Dowry of Blood. Oh, look how pretty this cover is. It's beautiful. This is being marketed to me as, I think, a horror book about a vampire abusive relationship following Dracula and one of his wives, if I am to believe correctly. Yes, it is. Okay. I have been told that the writing style in this book is like no other. It is so beautiful and descriptive and flowery, and it will make you feel like you are going to throw up and really root for this protagonist. And I'm really excited to see that, and how the domestic violence and abuse in this relationship is explored, and whether it's explored in a really great way or whether it's explored in a really uncomplimentary way that is not okay. I believe that the relationship in this book is explored in a good way, as in an appropriate way. But also, like, I want to see that for myself. I think the idea of vampires is really interesting, especially with books like Hungerstone coming out recently that I also want to read but haven't bought yet. I have just kind of gotten into this more vampire thing going on, especially because I finished Quicksilver the other day and that has vampires in. I was shocked, I know, but it has vampires in. I think I might be in a vampire era maybe soon. Maybe. The book is, again, very manageable. I'm quite happy about that because I feel like if a book goes on for too long then it can potentially just ruin the whole story and the effect that it has on you. So, you know, I'm excited about it. I think it'll be really interesting to get into this and just really put my all into it and see what I get out of it at the end of the day. Also, when I was reading Dracula, when it got to the part about Dracula's wives or concubines, I can't remember which word was used in there, I was really intrigued. I was really intrigued about these women and their stories, and this is potentially it. So, or a variation or an imagination of it. So I'm really, really hopeful for this book. Extremely hopeful. I feel like this will really click with me, maybe. It is no secret that I'm quite the lover of Frida McFadden. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't love all Frida McFadden books, but I love quite a bit of them. Especially The Housemaid, that was great. So I have bought One by One by Frida McFadden, and I bought this today actually, again to make myself feel better. It was actually a part of a deal and I couldn't find another book that I wanted in the deal, but I saw this one and I was like, oh, I've seen good reviews about it on BookTube, I might as well give it a try. It's supposed to be one of Frida McFadden's best books, but it's the one that I've heard probably the least about in the long run. I think the book's about somebody who goes on vacation and maybe their friends get picked off one by one, if I'm thinking right. But also I really want to be surprised, so I'm really trying to avoid reading the blurb of this book. I just want to go in, like, just surprise me. I really want to be surprised by a book, which is why I'm going in so blind to everything. So I'm excited to see what this has in store. I feel like I could finish this within a day. It's very small, so it's going to be great, especially to break up some of the other books, just like if it's like a mindless thriller. I really like books like that where you can just read it, great, set for the next. You know, I do hope this has like a profound impact on me, the one that like I can just eat up and it's very addictive. That is my main hope for this book. Addictive and binge worthy. So the last book is actually a series that I've just kind of like accumulated over the past like week. It's the Chestnut Spring series by Elsie Silver. Sorry, I had to look at the cover to make sure I was getting the author's name right. And essentially I got these in a 3 for $6 deal. My boyfriend actually bought me these 3, which are the last 3, and I went out today and bought the first 2. But from what I've heard on different social media platforms, these are like some of the best romance books out there at the moment. I'm really excited to get into that. I just got into some romance books. I read Swift and Saddled for the first time and I was really excited and I loved it and I ate it up, and it was a great book, and it was a great one just to reset my mind a bit, and it got me out of a really bad reading slump, so thank you so much. I haven't got the rest of the series for Swift and Saddled, but I do want them and will read them eventually. But I thought I should try the Queen of Romance from what I'm hearing, Elsie Silver, and this is the kind of stack. I believe that Elsie Silver also has some other series that tie into these as well. And I was told that I don't think they can be read as standalones, but you should read all of them to have a full idea of what's going on. So I'm really excited about that. And these are kind of like the first ones you should read, if I'm getting it right. Sorry, I'm really new to romance. I don't know a lot about it, but we'll go on that journey together, and I'm really excited to get into these and like kind of be able to talk about them with you guys, give my recommendations of which ones I liked, which ones I didn't like, what I liked, what I didn't like, what I suggest, what I don't suggest with them. Each of them has a different trope as well, which I'm kind of excited to explore. It gives me an idea what I like with romance and what I don't like for the future with romance. I think I'm most excited for the first book because it has like a nanny trope in it, and I quite like a nanny trope with like thrillers, so maybe that will like translate over to this. But I've been told that the second book is the best book. It is game-changingly good. They're definitely high up on the TBR list, but I think I'll be like intercepting them. For example, I'll do like, I don't know, Dowry of Blood, and then maybe Heartless, and then Last House on Needless Street, something like that, just so it's a bit broken up and I can have a break to reset my brain. But I am really conscious as well that I have like an entire shelf up there dedicated to my TBR that is getting no smaller. So I'm going to put myself on a book buying ban, I think, just so I can get through these books on the TBR. And maybe I'll make it like a video series, a quest to get through my TBR. Some kind of TBR game that I see a lot of other creators doing would be really fun, I think. But yeah, I essentially have so many books up there, and it's not going to get any lighter, especially with the book releases that we have this year and how many there are, which is great, but not for my bank account or my shelves. I also have my shelves at my parents' house that are full of books that I haven't read either and have been meaning to get around to, so we'll see how that translates. But yeah, these were my really hopeful immediate TBR books. If that changes, I will update you guys. But I'm really excited to get into all of them. I don't think there's a single book on here that I really am putting off or don't want to read or will procrastinate reading. I think it will just be more of a thing of what I'm in the mood to read after The Lamb. That is my priority book to finish because I don't want it to get spoiled. But we'll see what happens. If you guys have read any books on this TBR, please let me know, and let me know whether you like them or dislike them. But yeah, I'm just really excited to get into them and talk about it to you guys and review them and let you know what I think. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you made it to the end of this video, hi. I am so glad that you did. Thank you so much. It would mean so much to me if you guys subscribed or liked my content or even commented just a little something. If you don't have anything to say, maybe even just leave me like a book emoji. Like, it's really great to hear from you guys and like see you guys. I'm loving being on BookTube. It is really a confidence journey for me and I'm really enjoying it, so thank you so much. If you like this content, then you can find me on Bookstagram and BookTok at Dyslexic Reading, the same as here. And I will be posting new videos on BookTube every Friday. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. It means the world for me. Have a great day.